Our next speaker, whose journey with technology spans over 4 decades, truly believes that his bond with tech is beyond a job. He holds great experience with coding, admin, designing, and consulting. With more than 30 years of working experience in corporations such as Microsoft, IBM, HP, and now Stephanie Group, he has also created many startups as an entrepreneur. On his talk titled RH Plus, the human side of DevOps, he's going to share his deep insights on the most important element of DevOps and DevOps adoption and its cultural aspect. Let's come together and learn about what to consider and what to avoid when adopting DevOps. Without much further ado, let's hear it loud and clear from Mr. Alejandro Pestchanker.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session, RH Plus, the human factor in DevOps. I'm Alejandro Pestchanker, your speaker. I'm very pleased to be here today. Thank you for attending and being in this session. I'm here presenting Exin. This is a little bit of my background. I'm a partially nerd on the electronics engineering side, working on IT for like 23 years or more in different corporations and places. And I perform as a subject matter expert for Exin in different certification exams, such as the ones that this session covered, which is the DevOps Master. What I would like you to take out of this session is a different way of looking at DevOps, the human factor, which is, I think, probably the most key and an important factor in DevOps, and that is usually not being paid so much attention because it's a cultural aspect. So I would like you to take out several tips and probably things to have in mind, key aspects on adopting successfully DevOps and be able to produce the value that DevOps could bring you to your organization. So what we usually think DevOps is usually this, right? A process, several steps, a lot of tools and methods. And it's usually the way we learn about DevOps. We try to implement DevOps and we try to explain to others DevOps or to ourselves. But what DevOps really is a philosophy rather than a deterministic way or book of doing things. It's both a way of thinking, a different way of thinking, where you have to produce sustainable practices for your organization and your teams to be able to produce more value for the business. And of course, it has tools, but tools is an enabler. It's something that you get or you provide to your culture and to your teams in order to be able to do their work. And also, those tools have to be adapted to the scale. It's not the same, and probably you know this, implementing DevOps or adopting DevOps for a small organization than doing it for a large scale multinational organization. So tools have to be adapted and adopted depending on the scale. And also it's a way of working. It's a way of working centered on humans, centered on people, that you need to foster collaboration in order to produce the real benefits of DevOps. And collaborations and affinity, this has to be a unique purpose, a single purpose for the team to be able to collaborate towards a single goal, which is basically grow the business advantage and generate customer satisfaction. So getting a little bit deeper in these concepts, probably you know the main process or way of looking at DevOps, which is the delivery pipeline. And the delivery pipeline is nothing more than a value stream to deliver software that has three main things that when we're thinking on the human side of DevOps, you have to take into account. First of all, this delivery pipeline intends to make the work visible, right? Put all the things that matters and we produce or would like to produce visible to everyone. So that can foster the collaboration that you need in order to produce a flow and in order to produce good value for your corporation. Also, it has to take into account the changes that you will eventually face or your team will eventually face during this process. And we know change is the only constant now in the world, and it will happen faster and faster and faster. So getting feedback rapidly alongside this process is a key thing for us to learn, to understand whether the team is working right, the things that needs to be deployed or developed or delivered will be good for what you intended to be. So feedback here is a key factor that us as humans use as a learning process and a way to improve how we produce the software and get better results. And last but not least, this process should be intended to enable the team to produce better value for your business. And yes, with tools in a fully automated process or way that takes as much as out of the human error as possible and produce sustainable results in a predictable fashion. But it's key to understand that all this tooling and automation needs to be adapted to the human side of the pipeline. In terms of cultural or human aspects of DevOps, we see two things here. DevOps is formed by cultural aspects or human aspects and technical aspects. On the human side or the cultural side, you have some principles that are really important to be taken into account, which, as I mentioned, is collaboration, affinity, tools, and scale. And on the technical aspects, yes, you have the methods, the tools, and many others body of knowledges that we usually or normally take into account when we create this umbrella that is DevOps, such as ITSM or Lean, on other methods that we take several of their good practices into DevOps. So focusing on the cultural aspect, you can identify these 4 pillars of what we call effective DevOps. This is from a book that is a very interesting book that produced some guidance on this topic of the human or cultural aspect of DevOps, which is effective DevOps, building a cultural collaboration, affinity, tooling, and scale by Davis and Daniels, published by O'Reilly in 2016. And these are the 4 pillars that are identified in this book. The first one is the collaboration, where the objective there is focusing on a specific outcome, by supporting the directions of the people that are creating that outcomes or that value. So collaboration is essentially what makes us better, right? We are as humans, as individuals, very limited in our capabilities. But when we collaborate with others, we certainly can create anything that we like. We can overcome any individual limits that we have, and we certainly can achieve heights that we never expected. So collaboration is a key pillar of effective DevOps, and probably the most important one, I think, because it's mainly when you see the agilism, when you see Lean, when you see many others of the best practices and methodologies and way of thinking that we use within DevOps, there are certainly aimed at the human factors, and especially how we can produce flow by collaborating among several people and professionals from different aspects of the product making and And this is what essentially creates the value that we like to take out of DevOps. Then, of course, you have the tool. But as I said, it's an accelerator. Yes, it produces efficiencies, it produces cost saving, but tools and methods cannot be applied by a certain guidance or book. It has to be adapted to the culture that you have, to the size that you have, to the way of working that you have. And this is pretty important because there are many tools and great tools available out there. But if you don't take some time to understand how you are going to adapt them to your way of working, to specific needs that your team has, to your culture, to your company, and specifically to your customers, then you will probably spending too much time trying to change your culture and your way of working towards what the tools by design provides, and then probably you will not get the outcomes that you were expecting, and even more, you will be frustrating your people and maybe generating more barriers for a good DevOps adoption or effective DevOps. Then you have affinity, which is basically generating the purpose for the team. And I think this is kind of the glue that the team will have in common in order to collaborate better, generate trust, generate empathy, understanding that if someone makes a mistake, it's not because he wants to, it's because he's human and can generate mistakes. And having an empathy generates the proper culture within the team of collaboration, of helping each other, of being focused on the goal that you are aiming to provide, which is extra value or more value for your business. And that generating the affinity creates this trust that will push your team to the next level. And finally, scaling, which is, of course, a huge factor for human interaction. DevOps needs to be adapted to size. It can scale, as we know. There are many huge organizations that are effectively using DevOps, but also there are small startups that are using DevOps. And the magic of DevOps is it can be adapted, and it's good for everyone. And the thing is that there is not one bullet for every problem or one size fits all type of approach, because DevOps needs to be adapted to your scale, and it has to grow with you. When your company grows, or you have a new market, a new product, a new service, a new technology, you need to adapt the methodology, the tools, the process that you are doing. Maybe you will not be doing too much changes, but you can do small changes that are key for generating the rest of the pillars here that will help you get where you want to go. By understanding that that you will be managing a group of people to create great products that the customer love, you need to focus on this key word, the team, right? Team is a group of people working together with affinity, with collaborations that generate unique, specific value. And these four items that you see here are, I think, the most important one in order to make a group of people to work like a team. We can see this in sports of all kinds, and I'm very fond of football. And when you see excellence in teams that play beautifully and play efficient, you see all these aspects of a group of that people that are working as a team. They have collaboration. They work together as a unique body of performance. They have a different mindset. They understand that they can make mistakes, and they will learn from that mistakes, and they will grow as one, and they will think and act as people that understand that everything can be improved, and they will probably strive for that improvement all the time. They have empathy between each other. It's very important to get out of this concept of the superstar employee or person that can make everything and is the one that will save the world and all of us, because that will probably burn out that person and generate bottleneck, because one single human is limited on the amount of value they can provide. And if we move out of that concept of the star and put focus on growing the empathy and sharing goals between people, it's incredible what you can achieve. And again, putting the example of sports, there are many teams that have incredible single players that are superstars, but when the team doesn't have empathy with what they are doing, they don't have a single goal, and everyone is expecting this superstar to save the day. The results that are obtained are not probably the ones that you expected, right? And the teams that probably doesn't have that behavior of a single superstar, but they are a superstar altogether, they are a superstar team. And finally, trust. Trust, I think, is one of the most important things that is probably very difficult to produce from the outside of the team, because it's something that the team itself has to be generate among themselves. And the amount of trust that you generate is the amount of value the team will be able to produce. And in order to generate trust, you need to understand and speak to the people, to be open, to be transparent, to be communicative in terms of what's going on, sharing and socializing the problems, the flow. The work has to be seen and shared, and errors have to be understood quickly and rapidly, and be able to say, sorry, my mistake, I did it wrong, and then generate that trust that there is not a blame, or nothing to blame, and nothing wrong will happen out of the error, rather than a learning process and a better outcome next time. So trust is essential for generating this affinity and creating a best team for generating value. Mindset is one of the keys that one of the important aspects that there is a lot of literature about it. Carol Dweck, which is a famous author, speaks very interesting topics about growth mindset. And basically, what you identify in organizations all over the world is that you have two general mindsets that you can identify. On one side, you have the more traditional fixed mindset, where the culture and way of thinking of the organization is more towards that the talents and abilities of the people are innate, right? So you either are smart or not smart. You are a good technical guy or not a good technical guy. You are good with math or not good with math. So you think, or the way the people think is that abilities are a given. So the organization tries to avoid failures, try to make things right at once. So failures are seen as a bad thing. It's a very competitive culture within, because smart people are outperforming the not smart people. So it's a competition there to show who's the smartest one in the house, and everybody's in their comfort zone. I'm the best engineer on Java, or I'm the best master in Kubernetes. But that fixed mindset creates all sort of issues with what we just seen, specifically collaboration, right? Why super engineer that is the top engineer in Java share or communicate with somebody that is not. There's not in interest in that. On the contrary, when you have and foster a growth mindset, the way that organization will see things is that talents and abilities are something that you learn. And definitely you can improve. And this is scientifically demonstrated, right? Humans can learn even at very old ages. And this is a process that never stops. So you can have the abilities and talents that you need or are needed for the team to be able to deliver. And if that is a fact and you have a growth mindset type of culture, then you will understand that failure is something that will happen and is expected. And there's no fear to fail, because failing is a learning opportunity to make things better, to understand what can be done better next time. So people start liking to get new challenges and defy themselves to be better. And all the skills of individuals and specifically as a team can be improved and will be improved. So mindset is something that is a culture aspect that needs to be understood when you are adopting DevOps. Mindset is something that you can address certainly by different means, such as open communications, setting goals, teaching people, and specifically give people opportunities to learn and become better and understand that this is an option, right? You can change your mindset towards a growth mindset. This can be taught, this can be learned, this can be practiced. This is something that you can definitely make better in your organization, and it will generate outstanding results if you work towards creating this growth mindset. In terms of teams, one thing that is probably in most of the human departments across the organizations, something that is said and tried, which is fostering diversity. But diversity is not just something that is a trend of the market. Diversity gives you different way of looking at things. And if we foster growth mindset, diversity, no matter which type of diversity, could be gender, sexuality, religion, race, color, age, experience, it will give your squads, your teams, your cells conditions to look at things in a different way. It will provide people capabilities and skills to understand that the same issue, the same matter, has different way of looking at it from diverse perspectives, and that will generate better scenario for your teams to collaborate, to understand that everyone, no matter its seniority or its skill or biases or preferences, will be able to add to the team value. If we listen to each other, if we understand this perspective, if we foster this diversity in terms of collaboration and adding to the team, innovations will happen, new things will be able to be produced, and of course, the amount of feedback and the way the team will take new challenges, it will be outstanding. And all this will generate what is called as the DevOps Compact, which is a unique, well-prepared set and with proper mindset team that is working towards a shared goal, organization goal. And these are some characteristics of these novel or unique teams. People, when you see this compact, you see people working as teams, not as individuals. There's no too much me on the claiming of success. We as a team succeed together, and every one of us has something to add to the team, and we create these beautiful products and services for our business. There's mutual understanding and trust, and this is something that you see daily, right? You see people helping each other. When somebody is stuck, it has a hard time trying to solve a certain issue on its own, people swarm the problem, people help each other, and senior people teach on the process to less senior people, and people start trusting each other in order to produce the values. All the intentions and problems are understood, talked, and communicated between the team. Things are on the open. There's no hidden agendas in terms of seeing the issues, solving the issues, and find better ways to do things. And finally, there is a dynamic adjustment and return of understanding. We are humans. We have limited capabilities also to understand each other, right? There could be a language barrier or understanding barrier, and all these things. When you have a compact, you was able to produce this team. You see that the team itself repair itself. When somebody was not well understood and a mistake was happened because of that, the team itself understand that is something that can be improved, and either in a daily, in a retrospective review, or whatever meeting type of methodology you'll be using, the people start doing adjustments on their own, because they want to work better between them, and they understand that these mistakes can be repaired. At the end, I give you here some anti-patterns that you may found as some signs of concern when you look at your organization. Whenever you see one of many of these ones, you have to take those into account and try to make plans to try to help people out of them, because these are probably most very, very large and key barriers that avoid DevOps to produce value, right? So if you have a blame culture where having a mistake is a cause of finger pointing and a bad apple behavior, that somebody make a mistake, so it's a bad apple, that you have to take it out of the basket because it will contaminate the rest. All this blame culture needs to be avoided at all costs, because the errors is not that will not happen. It will be hidden. It will be not being spoke out. It will be not part of the discussion. So you will not be able to help people to improve, to understand how to avoid those errors and how to avoid them to be recurrent and happen one and one again. Silos, which is probably one of the most important, most discussed topics within DevOps, which is or different organizations, areas, or teams not communicating with each other, and thus not generating flow through the value stream that at the end has to deliver value to the end customer or the organization. So communication, sharing, visual tools that help every single team to understand that the goal is a single one, that there's a upper goal for everyone, the purpose to deliver value to the business needs to be addressed when you see a silos culture. Root cause analysis, this was a great tool for finding root cause of problems back in the days of ITIL and ITSM, but has not to be something that is used from the cultural side, because when you try to find the root cause of every single issue and foster or the culture is about finding the single cause of every single human error, probably you will be biased towards finding a guilty person, right? And human errors and errors in high effective teams are complex. There's probably not a single cause for every single error. In aviation industry, it's demonstrated that when a huge accident happened, it's a sum of errors that were probably multiplying itself during the process when the first one was not detected or hidden away. And finally, the human error has not to be avoided, right? And has not to be probably the single cause of every single mistake that we make. Usually when you see that, it's a simplistic approach that everything is blamed on a certain person. So human error, nothing to be done, cannot be improved, cannot be corrected. Rather, get rid of that person and that's it. And this is a very shallow analysis and it's biased. As we said, problems, especially in technology and with the kind of velocity that we like to produce, is complex. It's not a single cause. It's not something that is simply, right? It's a lot of humans or several people interacting with each other, and this is always a complex thing to manage. One thing that I will I would like to say at the end, and I think is very important, as we said, everyone can be better, everything can be improved, and especially we can learn new skills, new way of working, and we can get new abilities. And I think the certification is one way of achieving that in a professional manner, in a certifiable way that your organization, your team, your people can demonstrate learned matters. And this is our DevOps certification at Exin. It has several interesting areas where we focus when we developed it. It's the only program that has a master level so far in the DevOps area. It was created with these concepts in mind, which is DevOps is a cultural thing. It's a way of working, a way of thinking. And so the certification exam, the literature that was elected, the way we created the materials for training and the exam itself is a very holistic approach of DevOps. It's not just about proving that you understand a tool or a process. It's rather what your capabilities are in order to manage, adopt, implement, foster, and improve your DevOps practice. So it's a very interesting certification, very broad in terms of the topics that it covers, and really a great way of improving your skills and abilities. It has the full program has 3 modules from the foundation side, the professional side, and finally the DevOps master side. It's a career that you can elect for you or for your people to help you out in this way of understanding DevOps and helping your skills to improve. And which is the best for you? Here is a mini guidance that probably will help you out in depending on what you are looking for in you or your teams. The best one that will help you out. As you see there, if you just want to be familiar with the main concepts of DevOps, foundation level is the appropriate one. If you play a role in the DevOps teams, in any of the roles, foundation or professional, could be the ones for you. Foundation in a more basic level, and professional when you want to practice and be a master of that role. And then if you are responsible for implementation of these practices, either one important in order to understand what are the different components, practices, and artifacts of DevOps. And then if you are a senior manager and you want, you are in charge of leading your organizations and your DevOps practices, professional is a recommended level to have. And then, of course, the master level will be best for you, as well as if you're a consultant, you need to be well prepared with the right guidance for leading your customers towards the DevOps practices. So we recommend the professional, and we definitely suggest the master certification for you. And last but not least, if you are an ITSM professional working in an organization and you want to incorporate some DevOps practices, you either can use the foundation as basic level, and then the professional as a more profound or recommended level. These are the 2 books that I recommend to if you want to go deep in these topics. Effective DevOps is a very interesting book, as I mentioned, that covers all these things that we've been covering in a very deep way. And then you have the DevOps Master courseware, which is the official courseware for the DevOps Master certification at Exin. And then you can use either to learn in a more synthetic way, or you use to help your organization to learn, or if you want to train other people in these topics. With that, I would like to thank you for your time. I hope you have a good time learning all this, and I created some questions in your mind, some different perspective on concentrating on us as people, as human, and be fond and focus on this key factor of DevOps adoption, which is us as humans and people. Thank you. More than welcome to receive any questions that you have, and very pleased to be here with you.